The first title is in regards to employment. It is the EEOC, which is Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. They decide for discrimination rules. If someone has a complaint, they go to the EEOC to complain. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. This employment, in this title, the title employment has regulations and enforcements. Within Title I, there is not a clear definition of what qualifications interpreters need and what makes an interpreter qualified. Neither does the EEOC. Both don't have a clear definition of what it means to be a qualified interpreter. But however, the EEOC has depended for a long time to that interpreter must have a certification, but it is nowhere written or indicated in the ADA within their law. Within the Title I, it is regarding to employment. Interpreters are considered and classified as reasonable accommodations. And this is my sign for it. Interpreters are classified as reasonable accommodations under this title, employment. Another example of reasonable accommodation would, let's say someone is in a wheelchair and their desk is either too low or too high and does not fit them. That desk would have to be modified to their needs and what they would and how it would be appropriate for them to fit in that desk. There are several different reasonable accommodations. Interpreters are one form of reasonable accommodations. Who decides if someone needs a reasonable accommodation, like an interpreter to be present, a computer, paper to communicate? The boss or the manager of the company. They decide if reasonable accommodations is necessary. Interpreters are used for several different reasons: staff meetings, training, evaluation. It also depends on the deaf individual themselves. Maybe one deaf individual is placed in a situation where they need an interpreter, or another deaf individual is in that same situation but does not need an individual. It varies case by case. There's only one reason why a company would not be able to provide reasonable accommodations, is if that company is under undue hardship. Undue hardship essentially means that it's a burden for the company because they have a small budget and they cannot afford to pay for an interpreter or reasonable accommodations, and if they do, their company may go out of business and close.